So, hello everyone. Welcome to our second meetup. First of all, sorry for the late notice of this meetup, but Ronna told me on Friday, right? Saturday?
Oh my God.
That she would be in Lisbon and she would be up for giving a talk. And of course, we were super happy that we could make this happen because it's always a good opportunity to have someone from not only another place other than Portugal, but also someone that's so close with the communities, with GoBridge and Women Who Go, giving a talk here. We tried our best to have as many people as possible here, but in 1 week and in a Friday, it's always tough. But still, we would like to thank very much Ronna for coming. She's very welcome. And yeah, let's see her talk about implementing a quick API gateway in Go.
Thank you, Tiago. Round of applause to Tiago for organizing this. Okay, I need somebody to tell me if I need to speak louder about now. Good?
Very good.
Okay, so how do you implement a quick API gateway in Go? So a little bit about me. I'm Ronna Steinberg. I organize Women Who Go Berlin. I'm here on holiday. Which is, and I offered to give this talk because I heard that you have a rising community here and I wanted to help out. So I've been an engineer since 2003 and I've been organizing Women Who Go Berlin since 2007. These are about 2 years now. And I've been a Gopher since 2014, so I even got a look at 1.2 as a version. So that's about me. So about Women Who Go and GoBridge. Women Who Go was a community full of women, of the Go community who wanted to increase the diversity and the participation of women in the Go community. And GoBridge was pretty much doing the same, except for larger groups of people. So they were targeting any kind of gender minority, any kind of ethnicity, and basically any kind of underrepresented group. So we recently united, and Ashley and the Camara made those gorgeous, gorgeous Gophers. So I sometimes let people try and guess who is my favorite one. I'm just gonna make it easy for you because you actually don't know me. So as a dessert person, I always go with chocolate with chocolate chocolate. So that's me up there. Yeah. So Women Who Go Berlin, when I started organizing it, I did not found the chapter. I started workshops, challenges, workshop format. So what we did, we go to hosts and we come up with the companies that want to host us, and we come up with challenges that have something to do with what they do for our community, and we pick a challenge, something that people should be able to finish within 2 to 3 hours. Obviously, so what do they get? They get to know our members, and they get our members for our members to get to know them. So that's kind of cool. And we get to learn about what one can do with Go. Because most of our participants don't actually have previous experience in Go, and they're not professional Gophers. And we also get to solve real life industry level problems instead of doing endless tutorials. So why am I telling you all of this, by the way? You'll find out soon. So this is before I came here, I basically asked Tiago what I should talk about. And I gave him a list of some of the talks, or some of the tech talks that I've been doing, and maybe do a demo of one of the workshops. And he ran a poll, and I just wanted to give you some insights into some of the things that you sort of turned down. So the SoundCloud workshop was about growing a waveform from a wave file. And by the way, the crazy credits for this idea are Vincent Guerrides. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing his name correctly. SoundCloud. It's an amazing, amazing idea, and he sent me a POC, and I sort of redesigned it so that people can learn from it. So something about the SoundCloud workshop. Step 1, take a WAV file and turn it into PCM. So from Wikipedia, PCM is a pulse code modulation. Is a method used to digitally represent sampled analog signals. So PCM decoding basically means that we're going to turn the WAV file into a massive slice of values. So far, so good. So now we have a lot of values, way too many, I don't know, millions of them. But we want to, we don't actually need all of that to draw a waveform. So we're going to compress that. So there's a lot of slicing work involved here. And how we are going to do that? You will ideally take averages or medians, or you can do crazy matrix multiplication if you really want to, in order to make that work. SoundCloud has a secret sauce for this that they never told us, and I'll tell you that for our rendering, we also didn't want to, we wanted to sort of cancel out the data values, so that's kind of hard to do when you do averages. So, step 3, normalize. This is awesome. Keep it up. The youngest golfer in the crowd right there. So, the future of golf community. So step 3 is normalize. So to render the waveform, we want it to fit into our view. So that means that we probably have to shrink it in some way and fit it into our screen. So if we have, I don't know, a very high value, we want to lower it to, things that make sense in pixels. And step 4, rendering images and GIFs. So this is where, I have to say that this is one of the best design decisions that I have seen in 2018 when we did this from Lisbon. This little color function right there that tells you that basically takes an x, an offset, a y, an offset, and a height, and decides what to draw on it, and you're going to see it in a second. So, and let's see the results. So I'm going to show you the results. So this is what the waveform looks like. And this is what it looks like with the color function. So when you start applying values based on the height and the offset of different coloring. And this is what it's going to look like in a GIF. So I'm just going to start it from the beginning. And another GIF. And then the women who go Berlin logo, because how can you not do this? So this is what you turn down, by the way, people. I want to remind you. And all right. So if that makes people think that being a social activist is fun, then that's why. But now we're going to talk about the API Gateway, and the API Gateway challenge actually came from HelloFresh, which is a company in Berlin. It's pretty large, in local terms. And in August 2017, it sort of joined the ranks of our hosting companies that have helped us come up with this workshop format. And they were working on an open source project for an API gateway called Janus. And we devised the Baby Janus workshop, which is a very, very small sort of thing. So what's API gateway anyways? So from what is techtarget.com? I love that definition. An API gateway is programming that sits in front of an application programming interface, so an API, and acts as a single point of entry for a defined group of microservices. This is great. Gateways can be used to invoke multiple backend services and aggregate the results as well. So we'll get into this in a second, what it means. So basically have a bunch of requests coming in, and I have an API gateway sort of acting somewhat as a router, somewhat as a proxy, depending on what I wanted to do, and maybe it's aggregating multiple results I might get a request and I need to authenticate or authorize my user before and get some data on what they can actually do within the system, and then take that data and go to another service and run the next request, and so on. So why not API gateway? So I just sort of like called it a single point of entry for you, just to make it clear that if we change one word in this, this is what you're going to get. So you're going to get a single point of failure. But then again, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. Enjoy. So API gateway is. I devised a little bit of. When I designed this workshop, I designed it in a way that was sort of suggest, because there is a part of API gateways that basically suggests that you can use it to aggregate certain results from multiple services, right? So I suggest a little bit of a different design here also, like on the way while we implement this thing, where we have an app that on its own is going to aggregate results. So it's going to go to our API gateway and register an endpoint called /parts. Now we have a bunch of servers, and those servers serve each random parts of a certain file. So depending on, and they're going to register. Each of them is going to register its own endpoint. So if we don't do things properly and we don't implement our proxying properly, this is not going to return all the parts, or is not going to return the parts correctly, or it's not going to return any parts. So, and the reason I sort of show this is because if you have this as your architecture, you can actually keep your API gateway kind of clean, where you don't have to do much to make it work. And I'll see what I'm talking about. So we have the app for aggregation, and we have the API gateway for reverse proxy. So far, so good, everybody? Yeah, c'est bon? Did I do this well? Yeah, good, thanks. Okay, so we're kind of done here. Let's go and look at some code. So as I said, we have an app. We have a bunch which is going to aggregate parts for us. So we're going to make one request to the app to get /parts. And we have a bunch, we're going to start 10 servers, and they're going to serve different parts of a file, which is basically broken down here. So they're all going to claim a certain port and serve it. We have Docker Compose to sort of orchestrate this entire thing, and we have our gateway that we're going to implement right now. So, when we did this, we wanted to teach people multiple things. One is how to use the HTTP package. Two is how to use JSON encoding, decoding. So our protocol here is going to be an API request for the JSON. Let's have some fun. So first things first, if we just start this thing, I hope we can. If we just start this thing, and I hope we can. Yeah. It might not agree because we have failing texts. Basically, what I wanted to show you, we already have a bunch of endpoints here that the API gateway is responding to. One of them is routes. It's actually going to list the routes on the maps that we're using. So we're using a default map here. You will notice that I did not see a new one. There is what I use here to orchestrate the cluster ID. This is just for the challenge, so the things that are basically the servers are sharing a seed so that they can run the same random and get consistent results across. So not so interesting to us. And then there's going to be our endpoint. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, it failed. It's not happy with the fact that we are failing test. So let's have a look at our failing test. So test proxy does not work. That's not surprising because we did not implement it. So these are instructions here. We want to implement a reverse proxy, and we want to allow registration of a new endpoint from a rig to this. So I'm just gonna start with that. Let me know if you cannot see anything on that side. Ah, there isn't. I can't see anything. It's a good highlight.
Yeah, we're good here.
Yeah? Good. Okay. So we registered register endpoint. Now we want to read the JSON and we want to decode it. So we are going to define our endpoint variable, and now we're going to read the body and decode it into our endpoint. So that's kind of nice. Now E is supposed to be filled up now. There's a chance that this might fail. So who asked me about error handling in Go recently? Okay. So we need to handle our errors. So let's just write that it's a bad request, because that's what I'm assuming happened here, and return if the decoding failed. So now we're going to go with a very naive approach for a second, and it's actually going to let the test succeed. We're going to redirect. So for a test, it's kind of enough to pretend that this works. So I'm just going to show this for a second. I'm going to show the results then. So we need to give it a path. So we want to redirect it. So we want to now register the new endpoint. So http.handlefunc. I can do this inside another handler because the Maxer actually has a mutex lock here. Does everybody see this? So the fact that I'm doing this concurrently does not mean it's not safe. Can I move on? Everybody? Move on? All right. So we were here. So we're just going to handle any request to a rig, and we're going to give it another handler. And we want, let's call it for a second. So edest, and so we're going to redirect any request to read to dest, and we're going to need to give it the HTTP code. So we're going to give it status found, and if everything went smoothly, this will just work. Okay, so that's nice, except, so let's run the whole thing with the scaling and everything. Let's do this. So everybody's waiting. waiting for the gateway to load so that they can register their part. So the app has already, has registered 2 endpoints, as you can see, Hi and Parts. Now, Parts is our target that I want to show you. So Hi is supposed to return hello world. But what's going to happen right now is that we're redirecting into a container. The container is not exposed. This address right here that you see, that I'm hoping they can see on the video, it does not exist outside of my Gophers. So, you know, obviously not reachable. So redirect is not good enough, even though it did allow me to make a good start. So now we're going to actually implement a proper, let's just make sure that everything goes down, the proper solution. So, we have instructions here. Create an HTTP request to the destination endpoint using a method of the original request. You will need a client, and you will also need probably to copy things to the new request, such as cookies, for instance, for authorization. Content type header, you know, sort of things that make sense in a reverse proxy. So, let's do that. We're going to need a client here. So. And we are going to need the new request. So we're going to use the original requests method. The URL is the endpoint destination. And what else? We need the body, of course. So we're just going to use it because we didn't read it, so we're fine. We know that as a reader it's going to work. And I believe this also returns an error, so, you know, fun for us. So let's handle this for a second. Let's assume that this is an internal error. And return. Okay, so we have a new request, and now we want to copy, for instance, cookies. So let's do that. So we're going to range. So we're going to range over the cookies. So. And then we're going to add each cookie. Now, I have to say that as an interface, this is the kind of thing that always worries me. So I actually went to check. Add cookie takes a pointer. So that means that, you know, we have to defend our pointers. If we're going to pass anything by pointer, that means that somebody can do something to our precious object. So I wanted to make sure. And I can see here that all it really does is take the name and the value, and from this moment on, variable C is pointing to a string. So not very troubling. But read the documentation, make sure that what you're doing seems reasonably fine. I'm still not 100% convinced that this is okay, but we copied our cookies. Let's copy the header. So we want to set the header of the request of content type to be and I think we're basically done here. We can now just make the request, hopefully. So, do quality returns just an error? Yeah. Everything okay? No. Not everything is okay?
No.
Response error. Response, true, yeah. I meant it returns an error. But then we don't want to do this. You're right. Then, going to okay. So now we can defer that we want to close the body. So this ensures that whatever happens, the body will be closed. So we are here. Don't forget to close the body. Now, this is where it gets interesting because before we're going to write any response back, the order of which you write response, you write the response headers and the body is very important because when you write the response out, it already flushes the headers. So gotta be careful. So our first thing is we're going to do is we're going to copy the status code from our response. Okay, so we copy that. That's nice. I think, okay. Let's also copy, let's also copy the content type from the response. So this is of course not okay. We want some variable here, right? Response here. It's a field. Okay. And now we're just going to do another copy between our response writer and the response body. So we're just going to flash it directly. And hopefully this should just work. So our test should pass still. And it really didn't because of the cookie. Let's see what we did. So we added every cookie from the requests. And sorry. We are overriding, sorry. Okay. This makes more sense. So yeah, variable shadowing. Okay, so our test passed. Now hopefully you're going to be able to see what hearts actually looks like. So let's start with hi. Yeah, hopefully it will work. When everything is loaded, I'm happy. Alright. So hi shows return hello world, so we're fine, we proxied the app properly. Now let's see the parts. So this is what the original file looks like, which is the Women Who Go Berlin logo. And that's it, basically, for our challenge. So in a challenge like this, people will learn about, for instance, PHP package, JSON. You can actually start seeing a little bit more syntax here. For instance, that you can have anonymous functions. You can have closures, so a few techniques that have to do with control. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. So, any questions?
Yeah. When you do the third response mode close, actually close, the interface close, always return an error. And I've seen some people like need to check the error because if you pass a linter, the linter will say you're not checking the error. But I couldn't find a case where the error, in this case, would be returned.
Maybe it depends on the linker. But yeah, I used to do this also. I used to do this as well. It will return an error when, I think, when the body is already closed.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's it, as far as I know. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that, except maybe think about.
But you do check the error?
I only check this error if I want to know, if I want to ensure that the body is closed, I don't check the error. If I want to make sure, if the body is not supposed to be closed, then I want to make sure that it is not, well, that I just closed it and wasn't shared with, you know, whatever resource, then I'll check. But, yeah. Also, I have to say something. This code is 2 years old, and we've all evolved as people since then. So I did make some adjustments today and yesterday to modernize it a little bit, but it is 2 years old. So take everything, well, always everything that you get with the right result. Good question, though.
Why don't you iterate the headers, or you only need this one?
So the thing is, okay, so for cookies, headers, all the things that you might want to pass on to another service, or so passing on to another service is probably safe, but returning information your user might not privy to is a little bit more concerning. For instance, I don't know, exposing an internal endpoint with pagination, meta header that is super secret and you don't want anybody to know about. So be cautious with these things, like what you expose to who, but it's an approach. Anybody else?
What happens if you try to add an endpoint that is already defined? Like
That's already registered, you're going to get an error. It's not an error, it's actually logs it also. So something that I was actually thinking about talking to you about, this is a beginner's workshop. I didn't. So you might want to be able to register multiple instances with the same endpoint and round robin between them, or have any sort of well, round robin, or any, I mean, unless you start checking the response times, then I would say you're probably not going to remove unhealthy instances, but if you get to that point also, might be interesting. You're going to probably want to use your own master, you're probably going to want to use some sort of sync map, or, well, maybe not a sync map because it uses the mutex and you want lock on read only. But you might want to start evolving this solution a bit more. This is the quick API gateway, not the complete API gateway, as this name sort of suggests. Yeah.
So you basically bypassed your errors and just return internal server error or something. But usually what you do with your errors, how you handle this kind of error, because you can return.
Which kind of error?
For example, a new request. If you have a network error, you just write some internal server error. But usually what you do, you just log it, you just, how do you handle it? Do you have a function that handle errors for you?
So you want me to, okay, so we're sort of moving to the domain of observability and how you're going to monitor that your thing actually works, which makes sense because this is the gateway to all your services, and oh my god, if it fails, right? So I look into Prometheus if you're going to try to do this. So you can instrument your own your own endpoints to make sure that the numbers don't increase too much, etc., etc. Yeah, error handling is not so much mandated by the Go community. So, good luck.
What do you do?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't do usually single point frames, but if I do, then this is what I do.
But
This is
when you write
exactly-
your application says, how do you handle your errors? Because you can return because the code handler.
But you can instrument anything. So this is what I do. I don't log necessarily the error. I increase a counter somewhere that tells me how many errors I've had, and it tells me if I've had, 1,000 over the last minute, so that I can have a look and check. That's basically where I go with it.
You call.
You can, if you're using, well, if I don't want to say the K word, but if you're using any kind of, you can always decide that your instance is sick, and your health endpoints can suggest that it is terminally ill, and somebody needs to have a look at what's going on over there. So if you're running out of viral. I also like to use tools to make sure that whatever resources I'm using, I don't exceed numbers that I don't expect to. But that's a little bit well, it's debatable because this kind of solution requires mutic settings and blocks and this sort of thing that are not necessarily going to help your performance.
If I can add something about that. If you are using, if your company is using something like New Relic or any external third-party tool that allows you to automate monitoring, in this particular case, this particular scenario, New Relic will tell you that your application or your endpoint has been, for instance, returning 500 status codes for too long. I don't know, in the past 5 minutes, you had too many 500s, and you can connect that directly to some PagerDuty alert, and then someone gets paged, someone gets called.
You don't need New Relic necessarily. You can use just the Nginx log to count them for the password. So you can actually do a lot with the primitive solutions that don't cost any money. Is that what you wanted to say? Somebody raised their hand over here. Not any of you?
No.
Okay, I'm seeing things. So, anything more? This is interesting. This is a lot of fun. Yes, it is. Glad you asked. All of our challenges are on GitHub. Something that I want to make sure before I always tell people to take into consideration that I do have a day job most of the time, and I give these workshops and a total amount of 20 hours. So within 20 hours, we have to come up with a challenge, we have to have a POC, and then we have to design it so that somebody can learn something from it, and then redesign it so that somebody can learn something from it, and then we remove some code, and then I implement it again and see that it doesn't take me too long, so that complete beginners can actually do it. And at the very, very end, this entire thing has to fit into 20 hours. So it doesn't necessarily, so some of this code is not necessarily golden, depending on, and some is, obviously everything is, but if you do see something that that you don't understand or you don't think is correct, please just ping me. I always, enjoy improving them because there is only so much attention that I can give this. This is a side gig. So, all right. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for coming here on a Friday. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you, Ronna.